Hi everyone, today is Wednesday, April 8th, and it has been a really long time since I've made a Scentsy video. In fact, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to make this video today, so we'll see how it goes. Without rehashing a lot of the Scentsy drama or getting too much into it, I just haven't been super happy with everything that Scentsy has been doing, especially over the past year. It was last spring when they made some big announcements about some major changes to like the compensation levels, and I understand that they were in some financial hot water, but the way they went about it just didn't sit right with me. So I took a little step back from like actively promoting Scentsy last spring and summer. And then when the fall season rolled around, I decided to kind of give them another chance just because I love fall, I love Halloween, I love the holiday season, and I really just wanted to be able to enjoy my home fragrance and share those things that I love with you, including like my Halloween and Christmas home decor tours. And my warmers are so much a part of my holiday decor that, like I said, I just kind of wanted to let myself enjoy Scentsy over the fall and winter. So I didn't save any Scentsy empties during the spring and summer last year, but going into the fall and winter, I decided that I did want to make a little bit more Scentsy content because I missed being able to connect with you and talk about home fragrance and all the things that we love. So I decided to start collecting empties again. And then again, Scentsy has just been making some decisions that I don't feel like I totally align with, and I just didn't feel comfortable super actively promoting Scentsy, even though my goal here on YouTube and social media has never been to make money or to try to sell Scentsy or to try to grow a team. I've really just always been excited about sharing the things I love. I just didn't feel like Scentsy deserved my free advertising. So I'm still a little conflicted about where I stand with Scentsy. I'm not sure how things will be going forward, but I do have several months of empties saved up here, and my bag is full, and I was deciding whether I wanted to just toss them out or if I should go ahead and make a video and take the opportunity to connect with you again and spend some time with you and just share what I've been warming. So again, I'm a little conflicted. I still love Scentsy products. I have a whole room full of Scentsy wax that I need to get through, and I still love the Scentsy warmers. I just don't always love the decisions that Scentsy has made as a company, and so it does just kind of put me in this hard spot. So you'll have to let me know kind of where you stand with things. They've kind of gone through this whole rebrand, which I'm okay with. I like that they have the scent notes on the labels now. I do think the labels are a little bland, a little drab. It feels like they've kind of sucked some of the life and color out of things. And one of the things that I love about Scentsy and what really drew me to Scentsy products was how colorful and fun they are. And so it is kind of sad to see them kind of suck some of that life out of the products, but I understand that they wanted to kind of go in a new direction, kind of go with this more sophisticated approach. So I can totally appreciate that. I really like the new labels on the room sprays. I think they're very elegant and simple. I like to have some room sprays displayed in like my bathrooms, and so I like the new labels there. I'm kind of in the middle on the new scent circles. I didn't mind how they looked before, but the new design is pretty. And I haven't been buying a lot of the laundry or body items, so I'm kind of neither here nor there with the labeling and packaging there. I don't know how I feel about the annual catalog. I think I'll have to give it a whole cycle to see how it really sits with me. Right now, honestly, I think the annual catalog that they've released is a little bit boring, but I really do like the new monthly edit approach. I think that those monthly edits are really fun. It kind of gives you something new and exciting to look forward to each month. I really like the curated collections, so I do like what they've been doing with the monthly edits. I do feel like they are kind of pushing more frequent ordering, and that's kind of tricky with shipping being so expensive. So I've really just been kind of holding orders, and then maybe placing one big like one-time club order or just closing out a party. So that's kind of how I've been doing things. Again, just kind of laying low with Scentsy, and kind of seeing how it works itself out. And again, I still love the products. So I'm just going to dive into this big bag of Scentsy Empties. This is everything that I warmed over this past spring, and then I think into the winter and fall. I can't remember the last time I did a Scentsy Empties video. So that's what we have here. And I'm just going to start right on top. Okay, a scent that I have been loving lately, this is from the March edit. This is Magnolia and Vanilla Woods. The scent notes are lemon, magnolia, and sandalwood. This is such a pretty, perfumey floral, but I really think that that sandalwood kind of grounds this and really kind of tones down the magnolia. Sometimes magnolia can be a little biting or a little too much for me, but this is so pretty. This particular bar I actually just warmed in our whole open concept, and I can smell it. I would say it's probably a medium in strength intensity, and it didn't last very long, but while it was going, it was a very nice, pleasant background scent. I actually did add this one to my club. I finished an old bar of Darling Dahlia, so I actually used this one in my bedroom, and this is just a pretty kind of fruity floral scent. This is kind of like an old school Scentsy scent, and it's just kind of nostalgic for me. Okay, I'm gonna set aside some of the collections that Scentsy's released lately. I did go through a bar of cucumber and cactus water. In fact, this is what's warming in my open concept right now. This is such a pretty, cool green, kind of aquatic scent. It's very fresh and clean without smelling too like masculine or cologne-y. It's just so fresh. This actually, I think, came back with the Vault promotion in November, and I have a brick of it, but I did decide to add this to my Scentsy club because this is just a great scent to reach for if I'm just wanting something fresh and clean, something to kind of clear the air, and this isn't super offensive. I just really like that one. So cucumber and cactus water. Here's another bar of Magnolia and Vanilla Woods. I think I used this one in our bedroom. So because it's in a smaller space, it was a little stronger in our bedroom. So pretty. I feel like I could warm this in several different locations throughout the house and be satisfied with it. It is such a pretty scent. I did go through a bar of Shamrock Splash, so I did pull a warming basket for March. I wanted to use some green scents and some St. Patrick's Day specific scents, so this was in my warming basket. This is a very fruity scent. I can't remember the exact notes, but to me it smells like it might have like some saturated like strawberry in it. This is a more like warm spring scent, and so it kind of depends on how the weather is around St. Patrick's Day if I feel like warming this or not. Usually it's still kind of cool and cold here, and so I'm not always in the mood to warm Shamrock Splash, so I warmed this actually toward the end of March, and it was really pretty. I think this came back with the Vault promotion, and I had it in my club for a little while, and then I decided to pull it just because there are other fruity scents that I enjoy. Scentsy always comes out with really great fruity scents. This one, I feel like I need to warm around St. Patrick's Day, but again, the weather isn't always super conducive to me being in the mood for this one, but it is really good, nice and strong. All right, and here I have a bar of Clover and Blooms. So this was a scent of the month in March, and the scent notes are fresh clover, green apple, and freesia. And I feel like we didn't get a great St. Patrick's Day collection this year. They did release a St. Patrick's Day bundle that was like a rainbow kind of themed warmer, and then rainbow sherbet bar. To me, that is just not St. Patrick's Day. So I feel like this is probably the closest thing we got to a true like St. Patrick's Day scent with the clover. This is a very green scent. This is very soapy. There's something kind of heavy about this scent. My husband really, really liked it in our bathroom. And that's where I've gone through the majority of the bars that I got of Clover and Blooms. I think I did use this in our bedroom once. It's very strong, kind of Irish Spring soapy, very perfumey and green. And like I said, there's something a little heavy about it. It was a really good performer for us and it was very pleasant. I just don't think I need that in my Scentsy Club. I went through an old bar of Mandarin Zest. I think this was part of an Easter collection, but I could be wrong. This is just a nice, pleasant, kind of flat, like perfumey citrus scent. It was maybe like a light to medium performer in our open concept. And this is the kind of scent that I really like when I first put it in the warmers. And then once those top kind of fruity, citrusy, zesty notes burn off, it just kind of smells stale to me. And I think that's why I didn't end up putting this in my Scentsy Club when it was available, but this was a very pleasant scent when it was going. I have a bar of Garden Fresh Gardenia. So this was part of that March melting basket that I pulled. This is a very, very heavy, super potent, super heady white floral scent. This is like punch you in the face gardenia. This actually smells a little bit more summery floral than springy floral to me, but a lot of times in March and then into April, I am really in the mood for some true florals. So that's why I decided to put this in the warming basket. I had this in our open concept area. I think it was warming for just a few hours before I took it out. It was just too much. It was just too overwhelming. There are other florals that I like better. And so I think this was the last bar that I had of Garden Fresh Gardenia. I think this was part of one of those Epcot collections. And then speaking of the Epcot International Flower Garden Festival bars, this is an old bar of Soft Plumeria. This is when they had the Epcot branding on the label. And this is another very strong, heady floral. This one is just a little bit more tolerable to me. I had a partial bar of this, so I warmed this in our bedroom and bathroom, and this is actually one that my husband complimented. He said, whatever you have warming in the bathroom smells really good, and it was this one. Unfortunately, I don't think that you can get this anymore, but this was very nice, potent, kind of summery floral, but really, really pretty. And so just because he liked it, this might be a repurchase for me in the future. So again, I was kind of feeling some of the more heavy floral scents. So I did a bar of Sweet Pea and Freesia. I think this was a new release last spring and summer, and then they brought it back. This is just a very, very pretty, pleasant floral. This is not quite as heady as the other two. This smells more like a spring floral to me than a really hot summery floral. This is very pleasant. I warmed this in our bedroom and it was really nice. I also went through a bar of White Peach and Cranberry. So I don't think that they've brought this scent back. This was one of the like fruity scents that was a new release for a fall winter season, just to kind of throw those fruity lovers a bone. This was actually really, really pleasant. I really liked the peach and cranberry combination. To me, this doesn't smell super wintry. I actually really enjoyed warming this as the weather was starting to warm up a little bit here. So that is White Peach and Cranberry. That would be a repurchase for me. Here's a bar of Hydrangea Bouquet. So this is part of this year's Happiness Blooms Epcot collection. This is a repeat. I think they had this one last year, and this is lemon peel, raspberry, and hydrangea. So this is definitely a fruity floral. I get a lot of the raspberry in here. This actually kind of reminds me a little bit of the Darling Dahlia scent. So if you're missing that, I think you should definitely give Hydrangea Bouquet a try. I went through a bar of Daydream Oasis. So I actually added this to my club when it was back in the Vault promotion. This is one that I'm surprised Scentsy decided to discontinue because it's a really great classic, just kind of florally aquatic clean scent. It's also a really good performer. This is really strong. I like to use this in our bathrooms and bedroom. Okay, I think this is another scent from the Epcot Happiness Blooms collection this year. This is Morning Sage, and this is sage, freesia, and moss. This is definitely a green scent, and this is very, very light to me. This smells like a tiny bit soapy, but it's more just kind of a soft, fresh green scent. It's really, really pleasant. I actually warmed this in our downstairs family room when my father-in-law came to visit us. He is a little scent sensitive, and so I wanted to put something in the warmers that wasn't really overwhelming, and I think this really fit the bill. This also lasted a really long time. So it's not a super strong scent in intensity, but it actually did really well for me in longevity, and so this would be a repurchase for me. I finished a bar of Emerald Pear Blossom. So this is another one of those kind of winter fruity scents that Scentsy decided not to bring back. This is a very saturated, sweet, fruity pear. I actually finished this bar in our guest bathroom around St. Patrick's Day, and it was really pleasant. It's a very strong scent, so that would be a repurchase if I ever saw it again. All right, here I have a bar of Wild Citrus and Sugarcane. So they actually repackaged this fragrance last spring, summer. This was Wild for Wildflowers, and it must not have done very well with that scent name. So they renamed it. This is Yuzu, Tangerine, and Lychee. And this is so, so pretty. So one of my all-time favorite scents from Scentsy, it might be my #1 favorite scent ever, is #Shine from the No Limits collection. I've always described that as kind of like a perfumey orange juice scent, and this smells so much like it. I think that this is just a tad more tropical than #Shine, but this kind of fits the same bill. So I really like this scent. I had it in my open concept and it was really pretty. I wish it was just a little stronger. I'd call this maybe a light medium in the open concept, but so, so pretty. This would definitely be a repurchase for me. In fact, here is a bar of #Shine. I decided to kind of do a little like wax war with these two just because I have this in my club and I wanted to see if I could take it out and replace it with Wild Citrus and Sugarcane. This is just so pretty, and there's something very, very unique and nostalgic about this scent. So I think I probably will keep it in my club, even though I have a huge stockpile of it. I need to just kind of go through it and warm the bars that I have of this because it is a very, very pretty perfumey floral citrus combination. I love that. If that sounds good to you, you should definitely try Wild Citrus and Sugarcane because I think they are very, very similar. Around St. Patrick's Day, I warmed Luck of the Rainbow. So this is another very like fruity forward St. Patrick's Day scent. This smells a little bit more citrusy to me than Shamrock Splash. But again, I have to be in the right mood for this type of scent. It does need to be a little warm outside for me to warm Luck of the Rainbow because it is such a bright, fruity, fun scent. So I did like that. I do have a little stockpile of that, but it would be a repurchase for me. All right, here's a bar of Blooming Hyacinth and Santal. So this was kind of a new release scent earlier this spring as part of the Bloomies collection. They released this bar with a few kind of flower looking warmers. I was really, really surprised by this. This has coconut, hyacinth, and santal. And honestly, I think this was kind of poorly named because this is very coconut forward to me. It is a nice, sweet, creamy coconut. To me, it's the same coconut that's in Kukui and Coconut with just a little hint of kind of like a floral perfuminess to it. I actually prefer this one to Kukui and Coconut, so I did add this to my club. I warmed this in our bedroom and it was really, really pleasant, but I do want to try it in our open concept as the weather gets a little warmer outside because I think this will be so, so pretty for the late spring and summer. All right, and I pulled out the bars from this year's Easter collection. So the scent that I've gone through the most is Wild Honeysuckle and Willow. So this was a repurchase for me. This is Bergamot, Honeysuckle, and Willow. And this is a very bright, sharp floral. To me, it's kind of in the same vein as Spring Has Sprung. If you remember that scent, that is kind of a sharp floral. I don't know if it was super popular. I feel like this is kind of a more toned down, maybe universal approach to Spring Has Sprung. A little bit modernized too. This is a really nice combination. I think the bergamot in this is what's making it feel very fresh and vibrant, and again, kind of sharp. But my husband really liked this. I warmed this in our open concept and it did well. I'd say it's probably like a medium performer. It wasn't like blow you out of the house strong for a floral, but it was very, very pleasant. I don't know if I would add this to my Scentsy Club just because Scentsy does release a lot of floral scents. So I don't feel like this is like my all-time favorite floral, but it was very, very pleasant. Also from this year's Easter collection, Cloudberry and Dandelion Tea. So that sounds very, very unique. The scent notes are Cloudberry, Dandelion Greens, and Whipped Cream. And this scent is really strange to me. So it actually smells a lot to me like a combination of some of the Easter scents from last year's collection, I think it was. There's something in this that reminds me of Prickly Pear Flare, and I think that was part of the Easter collection last year. They actually brought those bars back as some limited time Easter bundles this year. But there's something about the fruity note in this, and I guess it's the cloudberry, that reminds me of that pear note in Prickly Pear Flare. And it's almost like that scent was mixed with the peach scent from the Easter collection last year. I think it was Peach Paradise. I don't know. To me, this is kind of a combination of those scents. There's something deep and kind of primitive about this berry scent. So I think this is a really nice option to transition like from winter to spring. But when it was warming, there was something that came out that was a little sharp, and it's probably the dandelion greens. It smelled a little sour to me when it was warming. So I don't think that this would be a club bar, but it was unique and it was fun to try. And then the third and last scent in the Easter collection this year is pomegranate and poppy. So this is rhubarb, poppy, and sweet berries. And before I got this collection in the mail, this is the one that I was most excited to try. And this is the one that actually disappointed me the most. So when I first got these bars, they were very, very light, especially the wild honeysuckle and willow and the pomegranate and poppy. Super, super light. I could barely smell them. I can smell it a little bit better now, but this is a very like perfumey floral with the poppy, but there's this sharpness from the rhubarb, and I was just hoping that it would be a little bit sweeter and a little bit more berry forward, but this is definitely floral forward. It's pleasant enough, but there is something very tart and sour about this one. I warmed this in our bedroom and it was just okay to me. This would not be a repurchase. So if you picked up any of the Easter bars this year, I would love to know your thoughts on those. And then I warmed a bar of Barefoot Beach. So this made a return in the new catalog this year. And then as part of the April edit, which is kind of a coastal theme, they've released a lot of products in Barefoot Beach. So there are actually two versions of a Barefoot Beach candle. And then they brought this out in some body care items. And so in anticipation of this re-release of Barefoot Beach, I decided to warm through the bar that I had of it. And to me, it's just okay. I definitely prefer Sun Castles, and I am really sad that we didn't see that one return. I'm hoping that it might make a return at some point during the summer. Barefoot Beach, compared to Sun Castles, it has that kind of like beachy, nutty vibe, but this is a lot more perfumey than Suncastle's. I feel like Suncastle's is a little bit more like coconut, almost like sunscreen forward, where this is definitely more of like a perfumey approach. So it is pretty. It's just not my favorite, and it was really, really strong. I actually warmed this in our bedroom, and this is one that was like kind of headache inducing for me because it is very, very strong. So I know a lot of people love Barefoot Beach, and I am glad that they decided to bring out a lot of body care products in that. I went through a bar of Pink Tulips. So I think I warmed this on the first day of spring. I have a whole stash of Pink Tulips that I need to get through. This is a very, very pretty, fruity floral scent. It's just a perfect like feminine, perfumey, light floral for the spring. It is so, so nice. I went through a bar of Ivy and Water Lily in our bedroom. This is one of my favorite florals. This is another very like perfumey floral. This smells like a perfume maybe from like Avon back in the day. It is so, so pretty, so pleasant. It's soft, it's clean, and I would definitely like to see this one come back. As part of my March melting basket, I pulled a bar of Huckleberry Sage, and this is actually a green wax. So I love warming it in March. This is a very sweet, saturated berry scent. I didn't like it for a really long time because this definitely leans like Lip Smacker's berry to me. So there's something very like artificial about it, but it is a really great transition from winter to spring scent. And so I love it in March. For my March melting basket, I also warmed a bar of Key Lime Pie. So this was part of a Bring Back My Bar last year. And this is a weird scent because to me, this smells like cleaner lime. Like it smells like a furniture polish kind of lime, but there is this kind of weird sweetness to it. It doesn't smell like a key lime pie to me. Like I don't get a crust. I don't get a really custardy kind of note. This is a really kind of strange mix of like cleaner lime and sweetness to me. So I got a few of these because it is a nice clean lime scent, but it's just kind of a weird one. So you'll have to let me know what you think about key lime pie if you've had a chance to warm that one. I also went through a bar of sweet lime and peach. So this was part of my March melting basket. They brought this back for the catalog this year. It was new last spring and summer, and I actually liked it. It is also kind of a weird lime scent. It is a little like vaguely cleaner lime, but this has a perfuminess and kind of a sweet tartness from the peach. So it's different and I like it. I actually am surprised that they brought this one back because it didn't seem like it was super popular last year. So that one surprised me that it made it back this year. So I also went through a bar of Sunburst Bamboo. Now this is a fresh bar of Sunburst Bamboo. I think I do have a little stash of this. I think I picked this up from the clearance section recently. I think I needed to bring my order up to some dollar amount, and that's why I added this to my order. This is a very just kind of clean, kind of spa-like cucumber scent. It's very fresh and clean. This is one that I find can kind of go funky if you let the bar hang around too long. So that's why I wanted to just go ahead and warm that fresh one, and it was very, very pleasant. Here's another bar of Clover and Blooms. I think I have another bar of Clover and Blooms. Okay, this is a very old bar. So recently I kind of went through this Scentsy room. I've been trying to kind of purge some things that I haven't been using or some things that have kind of gone funky. And I decided to just finish this really old bar from the Fantasy Wax collection. This is Confetti Party, and the wax was at one point green and it had turned a really weird kind of brown color. But this is like a sweet kiwi scent. And I actually warmed it here in the Scentsy room, and I was just very proud of myself for getting through a very, very old bar. Okay, so I'm getting into some things from February now. I finished an old bar of Pinkberry Fluff. This is really pleasant. This is kind of like a sweet perfumey sugar type scent. Really, really pleasant. That actually would be a repurchase for me. And sorry to get out of order. Back to St. Patrick's Day, I went through a bar of Isle of Clover. I think this was part of the St. Patrick's Day collection last year, and this was really, really pleasant. This is a very clean green grass kind of scent. I warmed this in our downstairs family room, and it was so clean and fresh, and it kind of made me wish that I had put this in my Scentsy Club. They actually did bring this out in some cleaning products in the catalog, so you can get it that way, but this is just a very clean, fresh green scent. Scentsy does tend to do those scents pretty frequently. I think that's why I didn't add this to my club, but the packaging is so cute, and like I said, I really miss that they didn't do a super dedicated St. Patrick's Day collection release this year. I went through an old bar of Blooming Marvelous. So I had several of these from when I got the Scent of the Month kit, when it was a Scent of the Month, I think last year sometime. This is a very sweet kind of perfumey floral. This smells like candy sweet to me, with a little hint of floral. It's really, really pretty. I actually would wear this as a perfume, but it's not a very strong scent. I think that did make it back in a catalog season after it had been the Scent of the Month, but I don't think it's in the current catalog. Okay, so back to Valentine's Day, I went through a bar of Sweetheart Sugar Cookie. This is a really, really pleasant, like, bakery cherry. You do get a really nice, like, sweet vanilla frosting note in this. I really like this scent. I do have a little stockpile of this one, and it was in my club. I did take it out of my club just because I don't warm this terribly often, you know, just a few times a year around Valentine's Day. There are other cherry scents that I really like, and like I said, I have quite the little stash of this. I think I prefer cherry almond pie, and I have a feeling that we will see that one come back at some point. So this did like scratch my bakery cherry itch for Valentine's Day and for February, but it's a very soft scent, and like I said, I think I prefer cherry almond pie. So that is Sweetheart Sugar Cookie. All right, here's I think my original bar of Magnolia and Vanilla Woods. We actually went on a little like weekend getaway for my birthday back in February, and this is the scent that I took with us to our hotel. And in our hotel room, it was so, so strong. So I think it was just because we were in a place, you know, that was not our house, where we're not used to the scents. And this just did such a good job. So this scent will always remind me of that trip, and it's just such a really, really pleasant scent. I really like that. Here's a bar of Lemon, Sugar, and Sage. So I think I was just in the mood for something very fresh and clean, kind of after like Valentine's Day, as we're kind of getting out of winter and into spring. And this was a Scent of the Month last year, and it is so pleasant. It is a very kind of earthy lemon scent, very fresh, very clean, and this actually did make it back in the catalog this year. My all-time favorite green lime scent is Lime and Sugarcane. I warmed this around St. Patrick's Day, if not on St. Patrick's Day. This came back in a Bring Back My Bar finally, so I could put it in my Scentsy Club. And this is just such a clean, fresh, vibrant lime. It smells like there is like a little twist of mint in here just to make it smell super, super clean and refreshing. I love it. It's very strong. And like I said, I added it to my Scentsy Club, so I was happy to get to warm that. And then I had a few green licensed bars. So I don't always like to pick up the licensed bars just because they are $1 more, and I don't think they're worth it just to get the licensed label. But I did pick up the Encanto collection when it was in a clearance sale, and it was actually a really, really good deal. And I actually really liked We Don't Talk About Bruno. I'm not sure what the scent notes are in this, but this smells very like fresh and clean. There's something kind of berry-ish about this too. It kind of reminds me of like a grown-up Huckleberry Sage, but it was really pleasant. And this actually would be a repurchase for me if I ever saw it in the clearance section. And then I did pick up the, I think it's called like Disney Love Stories collection, just because I thought it was really cute. And this is the Peter Pan, A Darling Adventure. And this was kind of a weird scent. This has kind of like a body care, almost like chemical sunscreen scent to me. It's kind of like a bright fruity scent, but there is something kind of florally and sunscreeny about this. So this would not be a repurchase for me. And then I have some bars from the Classic collection release. So they released some warmers and then I think these 3 scents. So they were Cotton Blossom and Cedar, Blushing Blooms and Silk, and Ambered Oak and Suede. So Ambered Oak and Suede, this says Pear, Musk, and Oakwood. And this to me just smells like very, very dry, masculine, woody, almost kind of bordering on like a tobacco scent. But there's nothing like sweet or musky about this. I don't get any of the pear. So I feel like it could use maybe just a little base of like a sweet pear, but this is just such a dry, like masculine scent that I did not like it. So Ambered Oak and Suede would not be a repurchase for me. Blushing Blooms and Silk, I actually went through 2 of these. This is Peony, Lemon Zest, and Musk. And to me, this smells a lot like Starburst Sky. So if you like those kind of like Baccarat Rouge, Ariana Grande Cloud, I think it is, perfume scents, I think you would like this. There's something just a little off-putting about Starburst Sky to me, and I can kind of pick up that same note. This is a little bit more pleasant to my nose than Starburst Sky, but there's just something about that particular perfume that I don't love, and this definitely has that note. So this would not be a repurchase for me. And then I have Cotton Blossom and Cedar, and this is Citrus Breeze, Cotton, and Cedar. This is really, really pleasant on cold. I do get a nice light kind of linen laundry scent. It's not an in-your-face scent like Clean Breeze or Clothesline. This is very, very pleasant, like line dried laundry. This is really pretty. It does smell a little powdery, and I think that kind of powdery note came out a lot more when it was in the warmer. So I actually liked this on cold better than I did on warm, but of the 3, I think this was my favorite, followed by Blushing Blooms and Silk, and then I just really did not like Ambered Oak and Suede. And then I went through a bar of the scent of the month for February, I believe. This is Pink Peony and Pear. This is Pink Peony, Anjou Pear, and Freesia. This is very pleasant. This smells very, very powdery to me. So I get almost like a straight up baby powder scent to this with a little bit more of like a more mature floral lean. But this is very, very powdery to me. It was actually quite pleasant. I actually warmed this in our open concept area. My husband said it smelled nice and clean, which I do agree, but it's definitely powdery. And then I have a bar of January's scent of the month. This is Amber and Peach. So this is peach, amber, and vanilla. To me, there is something so similar about this scent to Cashmere Pear. If you remember that scent, there's just something very rich and like perfumey, fruity about this. But I get that same kind of rich cashmere note mixed with the fruity, in this case it's peach, but in Cashmere Pear's case it was pear. So I think if you like Cashmere Pear, Amber and Peach was very, very similar to me. In fact, I got a room spray of Amber and Peach to use with my bars of Cashmere Pear. That's one of my husband's all-time favorite scents, and I do have a little stash of that. So you'll have to let me know if you find any similarity between Amber and Peach and Cashmere Pear. All right, and I have bars from the Valentine's Day collection. So that included bergamot and tuberose, plum and vanilla orchid, and champagne and pink grapefruit. So the Valentine's Day collection is usually one of my favorite releases from Scentsy, and I was highly anticipating this release just because this is around the time where they were really rolling out all of the new packaging and everything. And this, I would say, was a very like demure, sophisticated approach to Valentine's Day, because they've gone very like fun and kind of bubbly before. They've gone really like fruity and cutesy before, but this was very like elegant. So bergamot and tuberose is bergamot, tuberose, and cashmere. And this, I think, was my favorite on cold and on warm. This is a very kind of like cozy floral scent. I definitely pick up those cashmere vibes, very perfumey, but this one was really, really pleasant. I actually did consider putting this one in my club, but I decided not to just because I have a lot of other scents, but this was really, really pleasant. It was actually a very nice performer in the bedroom. So that was bergamot and tuberose. And then we also have plum and vanilla orchid. So this is plum, blossoms, and vanilla. And when I first smelled this, this is like a super, super rich, saturated plum scent. It was almost so saturated that I was picking up like fruity grape vibes from it. And I still kind of get that. This is very, very sweet, saturated, fruity. This was pretty pleasant. I think I warmed one bar in our open concept and one bar in our bedroom, and it was very pleasant. Again, I don't need this in my club just because Scentsy does a lot of these kind of berry, like fruity, kind of perfumey scents, but it was very pleasant and a pretty good performer. And then I have a bar of champagne and pink grapefruit, and I'm guessing that I have another bar of this somewhere in my Empties bag here, but this is champagne, grapefruit, and musk. And this is like very, very clean smelling to me. So this smells like some kind of bathroom cleaner, and not in a bad way. It's very fresh and very clean, but this is very, very like dry citrusy to me. There's not a lot of sweetness here. I get that like tartness from the grapefruit. It's very astringent. And I do get the muskiness. And I think that's what's kind of, that combination is making this smell very like bathroom cleaner. So it was very fresh. I enjoyed using this in our bathroom, but it wouldn't be a repurchase for me. All right, I have another bar of blooming hyacinth and santal. I have a bar of cozy cardigan. I used this in our bedroom. And this is just a really nice, pleasant, kind of classic, Scentsy, like perfumey cashmere scent, cozy cardigan. Let's see. Oh, here's another bar of blooming hyacinth and santal. This is just so, so pleasant. I can't wait to get more of this to warm, like I said, as we head into the summer months. I went through a bar of cherry vanilla, so I did end up adding this one to my club. I think it was available in the Vault promotion. This is super, super sweet, saturated cherry. This is a very, very strong scent, and I love cherry scents around Valentine's Day, so that definitely hit the mark for me. Let's see, I have a bar of clementine blossom. So this is from a Valentine's Day collection several years ago. I love this scent. Like next to #Shine, this is probably my favorite Scentsy scent of all time. And I remember when it came out, a lot of people described it as like boring, but I think it is so pleasant. It is just so sweet and perfumey. I would love this in body care. It is so pleasant. So this is another kind of perfumey, citrusy scent, and I just love that scent combination. So that is clementine blossom. That is in my club. Oh, here's my other bar of champagne and pink grapefruit. So again, very, very cleaner grapefruit to me. I ended up using these bars in my bathroom. I went through a bar of Frosted Fantasy. So this was probably back in like January. I think I warmed this in our bedroom. And this is a very interesting scent. This is kind of like a wintry, like fruity, perfumey kind of scent. It's really hard for me to describe. I actually have a fragrance flower that I probably need to include in this Empties that was in our bathroom for a few months. And it always reminded me of kind of a wintry version of Iridescent Pearl, if you remember that scent. I loved Iridescent Pearl. I would love that in like a body care line. It just was not a good performer for me. Frosted Fantasy kind of smells like the winter version of that to me. So Frosted Fantasy. So here we are, I think kind of in my January melts. I did Polar Bear Hug. I love this one in January. After the holidays, when, you know, you're kind of over like the like Christmas tree scents or like the holiday berry scents, this is just a really nice option. It smells like cool weather perfection to me. So I warmed that in our open concept and it's a really good performer. In February, I warmed one of my all-time favorite cherry scents. This is Sugared Cherry. To me, this is just a deep, almost like spiced cherry scent, and I love it for February. I am really keeping my fingers crossed that we will see this back in an upcoming Bring Back My Bar. We should be getting some news on Bring Back My Bar winners within the next few weeks. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we will see Sugared Cherry again. Back in January, I did a bar of Be Fabulous. This is in my Scentsy Club. This is a really, really pleasant combination of limoncello and grapefruit. This is just like bright, clean, citrusy perfection. And I feel like I can warm this probably any time of the year, but I've kind of associated it with like a winter citrus. So I love that when you're just trying to clean the air in January after the holidays. I have a bar of Christmas Cottage. This is just very, very cinnamon forward with some winter fruits like orange. I think there's also raspberry. This is just a classic Scentsy Christmas scent. And before I get into any other Christmas scents, I did group the bars from the Inspire collection. So I think this came out sometime in January and I actually really liked it. So this little release included white tea and cedar, lemongrass and lavender, and cypress and citron. So of these three, I think that they're all still available. Cypress and citron actually made it into the catalog. And then white tea and cedar and lemongrass and lavender, these have been going in and out of stock. They might right now both be out of stock, but I have seen them kind of go in and out of stock. You can still add these to your Scentsy Club. So the Inspire line that Scentsy has released is like very clean and minimalist. And these all smelled like scents that would be in a hotel to me. I remember thinking white tea and cedar kind of smelled like hotel lobby. This is white tea, orris, and cedar. And this is such a pretty white tea scent. It is very clean, very sophisticated, very hotel lobby. So I really like that one. Lemongrass and lavender. I think this is the one that to me kind of smells like a hotel bathroom. This smells very clean and fresh. The scent notes are lemongrass, lavender, and amber. Really, really pleasant. And then cypress and citron. This is citron, cypress, and petite grain. And this to me smelled like it could be like hotel spa. So of these three, I actually liked them all on cold sniff. My least favorite on warm was cypress and citron. To me, this took on kind of a like bug spray kind of scent in the warmers. It was just a little, I think, too much of that like sharp citrusy note where it was kind of leaning a little bug spray. So this one actually probably wouldn't be a repurchase for me, but it was like pleasant enough. But the two that I actually really liked were the white tea and cedar and the lemongrass and lavender. So unless there are more in here, I went through at least 3 bars of lemongrass and lavender. And this one, like I said, is like very fresh and clean. This is one that I would use if we were having company over. So again, I mentioned that my father-in-law is a little scent sensitive. So when he was visiting us, like I guess back in January, I put this in our open concept, and it is a little on the lighter side. It's not overwhelming. It's just a nice, light, clean background scent. And so it does really well if you're just looking for something clean and refreshing in the background. And that's why I really like this. I actually did end up putting this in my Scentsy Club because it's a really nice one to reach for, like I said, if you're looking for just a nice, clean, fresh background scent. And then white tea and cedar is a little bit on the stronger side. So I would say this is a little bit more prominent, a little bit more like present than lemongrass and lavender in the warmers. But this is so clean. And to me, this is kind of like a nice, neutral, clean scent. And that's probably why people would compare this to like a hotel lobby scent where you're just wanting something clean, inviting, neutral. So back in January, we had a lot of people coming into our house because we had to get a new dryer. So we got that delivered, and then within that same week, we had to get a new refrigerator. So we got that delivered. And so when we were expecting the delivery people, I just wanted something that smelled very clean and fresh in our house. And this really did the trick. So I also added this one to my club because I think it's just a great, clean, neutral scent if you're having like company over. So I really like white tea and cedar. Oh, and here's another bar of white tea and cedar. So that was at least 3. So heading back in time in December, I did spiced grapefruit. I love this one in our kitchen around Christmas. This is just a perfect holiday spiced grapefruit, spiced citrus scent. I really, really like that one. I went through a bar of Rustic Lodge. So I think I ended up finishing this one in our family room and in our guest room downstairs. This is a very deep, almost like incense kind of scent. To me, this really does smell like old wooden logs that you would have in a cabin. There's just something very, very deep and woodsy about this scent. It's really pleasant. So that's Rustic Lodge. Here's a bar of Sleigh Ride. This is one of my all-time favorites for Christmas. This is a really nice mix of like a traditional Christmas tree scent with some like holiday berries. I love this scent, and I did add that to my Scentsy Club. Here's a bar of Cabin Cuddles. So this was part of the Scents of the Season collection this last year. This is a very masculine scent. To me, this just smells like cologne, and I used this bar in our downstairs bathroom. From the Gilmore Girls collection, this is I Smell Snow. And this is really pleasant. Oh my gosh. I love these types of scents. So this is like clean, outdoorsy winter air. There's something a little sweet. There's something a little minty. This is really, really pleasant. That was a really cute collection. I didn't love all of the scents just because I'm not super into like really heavy bakery scents, and there were 2 kind of gourmand scents in this collection, but I Smell Snow was really, really pleasant. Here's another licensed bar. This is Hoth Winter. So I actually picked up this Star Wars collection when it was in a flash sale or a clearance section at a really deep discount, and this was really, really pleasant. So this is another like outdoorsy ozone winter air kind of frosty minty scent. This was really, really pleasant. That would be a repurchase if I saw it in a clearance section. Here's another licensed bar. This is Rivers of Rivendell. This was part of Lord of the Rings release. This I warmed in our downstairs family room. This was so long ago that I warmed this, but this one was really, really pleasant. Okay, here's another licensed bar after I said that I don't like licensed bars, but I did go through several. This is Peanuts, a Snoopy holiday. This was like a lemony, Christmassy scent. So you get lemon mixed with kind of like a Christmas tree. And the lemon in this reminds me a lot of like a sweet, fruity lemon, like in lemon sorbet. So this was very pleasant. It was a little too like warm citrusy for me, where I don't know if I would necessarily reach for it around Christmas, just because there are so many other like very Christmas forward scents that I need to get through at that time of the year. But this was very, very pleasant. I think this would be a really nice one if you were just looking for like a clean house smell around Christmas or in the winter time. That one was really pleasant. Oh, I finished an old bar of lavender and white balsam. So this is a flat-backed bar. This is one of my husband's favorite scents. This is like a beautiful combination of lavender and balsam. It's so clean and sweet and cozy. I love this one. I would love to see this one back. I had it in my club for a really long time and I built up a huge stash of it. So that's why I ended up taking it out of my club, but I would like to see that one back. It's really pleasant. I have a bar of Merry Wonderland. So this is part of Scents of the Season collection. I think this particular bar was Scents of the Season 2 Christmases ago. And I think this one came back in the catalog last fall, winter. This is a very nice, like holiday fruity mix kind of scent. I think this has apple in it. To me, this just isn't like my favorite spiced apple holiday scent. There are so many other ones that I love, but I did enjoy this. There's nothing that smells bad about this scent. There are just other ones that I like better. I think I warmed this mostly in our upstairs bathroom. I have a bar of Iced Balsam. This was a scent of the month. And this is a very like fresh, clean, evergreen scent. It reminded me a lot of like sweet orange and evergreen. It's a very like sophisticated Christmas tree scent. I really liked this. It probably would be a repurchase for me, but I really love Sleigh Ride and Very Snowy Spruce. This is a little more crisp than Very Snowy Spruce. Very, very pleasant. Here's another bar of January Scent of the Month, Amber and Peach. There's another bar of Sleigh Ride. I love that one. Here's a bar of Cozy Fireside. This is such a warm, cozy combination of cinnamon and clove. This is actually very clove heavy, and this one gets very discolored because of all the oils. And this was a really old bar too. So this is the flat-backed bar. I have quite a little stash of this, and I think they released this in a brick. I think. So I think I picked up a brick of this, and then I decided to try to get through some of my older bars. I have a bar of Very Merry Cranberry. So this one came back, I think, in one of the promotions that they did. I think it was with the Vault promotion. It might have been like a late ad or something like that. But we had the chance to add this one to our club. And so I did. I think this should be in like the holiday catalog because it's just a classic fruity holiday cranberry. It's so good. Oh, I love this one. I love to warm this in our downstairs family room. I love to warm it in our bathrooms. It's just like a perfect holiday cranberry. So that one is in my club. I went through Sugared Peppermint Flurries. So this was part of the Scents of the Season collection. Ooh, so again, this is like a mix of like outdoorsy air with some mint, but this actually has a lot of like vanilla marshmallowy sweetness to it. it kind of like hit me in the face. This smells like maybe like a little bit more of a fresh outdoorsy version of Marshmallow Mint. So really pleasant. I warmed this in our bedroom. I like this type of scent. My husband doesn't like minty scents, so I've kind of had to pull back on warming lots of minty scents, but I really did enjoy that one. I have a bar of Be Merry. If I had to pick like one all-time favorite Christmas scent, it's probably Be Merry, just because this is a perfect festive combination of like the holiday fruits with a little bit of a kind of Christmas greenery scent. I just love this combination. This screams Christmas to me. I can't smell anything in the clam now. I went through Crimson Berry Christmas. So this was a brick a long time ago. And this reminds me so much of 'Tis the Season from Bath and Body Works. So this is in my club and will probably stay in my club for a long time just because I love that scent from Bath and Body Works. Here's another bar of Be Merry. And then also from that Star Wars collection, I did Endor Forest. I think this one was really pleasant. Yeah, this smells a lot like Very Snowy Spruce. There might be like just a hint of like kind of a fresh citrusy note or something, but this smells a lot like Very Snowy Spruce to me. All right, and then I think just some like pod packs and scent circles have made their way to the bottom of this bag. So let me pull these out. These are probably going to be all mixed up. Really, I've only been using pods in our air purifier in our bedroom, and then I do have a wall fan diffuser in our front room, but I don't change those pods very often. So I think most recently I did put Clover and Blooms in our bedroom, and I had been using Shimmer, so I took Shimmer out and replaced it with Clover and Blooms. That was a nice pod. Christmas Cottage, I had used this in our front room, and before Christmas Cottage I had Berry Sweet. So I know that I used Berry Sweet in the summertime, and if I replaced it with Christmas Cottage, that just shows you how long I go in between pod changes in our front room. Let's see. Okay, here's my Shimmer packaging, and I had taken out Blue Skies and Bergamot. So this I got, I think, when it was a scent of the month, and it's kind of like a light, pleasant scent. It made its way back in the catalog. To me, I think they're probably just trying to get rid of old stock because it just wasn't like a standout scent to me, but it was pleasant. Let's see, I have Lemon, Sugar, and Sage packaging, and I had taken out Christmas Cottage. So again, I go a really long time in between changing the pods in our front room. And then this actually was a fun one. So this is Silver and Gold. This was an exclusive Whiff Box fragrance. And when we went to visit my Nana for Christmas, I took these pods with us, and I used the little fan diffuser that came in that Whiff Box, and I just actually left it at her house, and it was really, really strong. So this is a really pleasant scent. This is Golden Pineapple, Sweet Strawberry, and Silver Woods. So this is kind of like one of those like fresh, fruity, kind of champagne leaning scents that's really nice around New Year's. And this was really pleasant. Anytime we walked in the bedroom at my Nana's house, this kind of smelled maybe like a perfume counter at the mall. It's just very, very pleasant, very kind of fruity, perfumey. I hope that we will see Silver and Gold, hopefully sometime this upcoming holiday season. Open Air Exploring. So this is a scent pack. My husband likes to use these in his gym bag, and so this one had totally run out of scent, and he asked me to order some more, and he likes kind of like the clean, fresh scent, so he said that that one was a good one. And then I have some scent circles. So around Thanksgiving, I put this old mold cider and spice. This is actually one of the 3D ornaments from a few years ago. I had this one in my car and it was really pleasant. From the Valentine's Day collection, I had bergamot and tuberose. I thought that the love notes was super cute for Valentine's Day. That was really pretty. Scent of the month for February was pink, peony, and pear. And this is the new packaging for the scent circles. So it has the kind of botanical print and then scentsy on the other side. This was really pretty. This again is a very powdery floral, kind of like baby powder. Also from the Valentine's Day collection, I have plum and vanilla orchid. That packaging was really cute. From around Christmas, I did Wrapped in Lights. That packaging is really cute. This is the kind of thing that I'll miss with the new packaging. So on this, it has little strings of lights and fruits. And I don't know, I just kind of miss that with the new packaging. This is just a little plain to me. I mean, this is pretty. This is really low contrast, so it's really hard to see. It's pretty, but I don't know, there's just something kind of special about that. Cocoa Cashmere. This was scent of the month in November. This is a really pleasant scent. It reminds me a lot of French Kiss, which smells a lot like, is it the fig and brown sugar scent from Bath and Body Works? It smells a lot like that to me, and that was pleasant in the car. And then this was actually in my husband's truck. This was Shamrock Splash. I thought these were really cute packaging, so we did this around St. Patrick's Day. This did not last very long at all, and even he mentioned that it only lasted for a few hours in his truck. And I actually have some other empties upstairs that I'm going to run and grab, and I'll be right back. All right, there were just a few things upstairs that I forgot to bring downstairs. So in my car, I also went through a Shamrock Splash scent circle, and then I thought this was really cute. I think this was on St. Patrick's Day. I actually went to Sonic to get a drink, and they gave me this tiny, I'll show you for scale, little car air freshener in Mango Peach, and I just thought that was really cute. It didn't really smell like much of anything. It didn't really last, but I just thought that was really cute and just kind of a fun little surprise on St. Patrick's Day, and so I had those in my car. And then this is the fragrance flower that I was talking about. So this is Frosted Fantasy, and I did write, I opened this on the 9th of December. And it's probably been dried out for a few weeks at this point, but I can still smell it. And again, there's something that just smells very fresh, fruity, perfumey, kind of like a winter version of Iridescent Pearl. So I really liked that. And then I did finish an old dish soap in Evergreen and Grapefruit. Again, cute packaging. I don't love this scent. The grapefruit evergreen combination smells very acrid to me, kind of like dirty feet in the wax. In the dish soap, it was tolerable. When I'm smelling it now, the evergreen is actually coming off kind of savory like rosemary. So in the dish soap, it was actually a bit more tolerable than in the wax to me, but I was glad to finally finish that up. And then last but not least, I have a Scentsy Fresh in Odor Out. This packaging is really cute. I had cooked dinner the other night, and sometimes the dinner smells kind of make their way into our bedroom, even though I try to keep the doors closed. And so I just kind of wanted to freshen things up. So I went to grab this and I sprayed it, and it still smelled okay, but it smelled like something had gone off a little bit. So not rancid, but just kind of a little stale. It honestly kind of smelled like cardboard to me. So I decided that it had probably seen better days, and I dumped the rest of it out. So this is also a reminder to go through and try to finish any Scentsy Freshes that you might have on hand. dish soaps that might be hanging around, because I don't think that the scent in these last forever. So it's just more of a reminder to me to try to finish anything that I've been holding on to. So those are my Scentsy empties over the past few months. Like I said, not really sure where I stand with Scentsy right now. I'm still, loving the products. And like I said, I have a whole room of Scentsy that I need to get through. But yeah, just not quite sure about giving them a ton of promotion. I was kind of thinking about some videos that I could potentially do, just because, like I said, I do really like making videos and interacting with everyone and, sharing the things that I am using anyway. So I don't know if you would be interested in like shop my stash type videos, warming basket videos, empties videos. Please let me know. But thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.